Yes, it's just a couple of hours as Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo have agreed to draft a peace deal by tomorrow. That's May the 2nd, committing to respect each other's sovereignty and refraining from providing military support to armed groups. And this, as of course, we have been seeing how the situation in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo has been over time now. Nixon Katembo, African Affairs analyst, as well as Channel Africa correspondent, joins us this evening. Nixon, good evening to you and thank you so much for your time. It's just a couple of hours to go and a lot of people looking to see if, in fact, these two countries, as they promised in that meeting with the U.S. Secretary of State, that they're going to draft a peace deal by tomorrow is going to happen. So what are we hearing?
I think one of the things that you have to look at, Bonki, is how this agreement was signed. One, it shows a number of few things that we need to talk about. Is the externalization of the conflict, taking it out from the hands of the Congolese and the Rwandese themselves and taking it to the external actors, namely in Qatar and in the United States.
And taking it away from SADC and the EAC.
And the EAC. The second aspect is the entrenching those who are to benefit from this particular deal, particularly Tshisekedi and President Paul Kagame, in asserting their legitimacy in terms of how the conflict is driven in the country. The third, it negates the claim by the M23 that they are fighting against the Congolese government in terms of what they have been claiming all along. The fourth is legitimize Rwanda's involvement in Eastern DRC. Some have been calling it an invasion, depending on which angle you look at it. And the fifth one now, which is more worrying for me, it's nullify all the other processes and the efforts that the regions have been doing.
Right on that point, in fact, don't move on from it, because I wonder now, as we look at the developments, right, with the U.S. Secretary of State, as you say, it's now been taken outside, and that last point that you've just made, what does it mean then for the regional players that have also been trying to find a solution to this conflict? Basically,
that's the problem, because now, if you look at the DRC now, where it is taking in these conflicts, it goes back to the effort that were made in Sun City. There were technical committees in this very country, diplomats who worked on various issues trying to solve the issue of the Congo, issues of governance, issues of political instability, issues of internal frictions within the political system, and trying to draft a strategic way on how the country is going to run. All those are being watered down. And now you still have an internal political division simmering with the presence of former President Joseph Kabila going to Goma, and the opposition in Kinshasa, while President Tshisekedi himself is trying to hold on to power by all means by signing this agreement with the United States in terms of mineral.
And it's interesting.
And the basic point here, it makes the Congo sort of an economic colony of the United States. And we need to be able to talk about these issues as Africans.
So when you then look, and when you look at, President Kabila, even at some point when he was here in South Africa, he said that the problem of the DRC is the president himself, and he can be the only one who also can resolve this. But again, there's another issue here, Nixon, and I wonder, because both of them, when they signed this agreement, they need to come up with an agreement that says that they're not going to be supplying weapons to the armed groups, they're not going to be working with the armed groups. Do you see the armed groups respecting this draft decision?
It's very interesting that you're asking that question, because immediately after the signing of the principle with the Secretary of the State in the United States, the M23 or /IFC issued a statement that the agreement that was signed in the United States does not engage them. So what is the trend in the Great Lakes region? There is always a cunning approach in terms of a diplomatic and a dialogue in resolving the conflict in the region. While the talks are going, the rebellion and armed conflict is being pushed through other means. And you can see that the M23, what I see, is going to disassociate itself from the current processes and therefore continue in a way, in as much it might be curtailed by disagreement between Rwanda and the DRC. And that is a major issue. But one last point, which is more important, is the involvement of the region. Because if the region is not involved, the DRC is not going to see peace.
Nixon, I'm hoping you and I speak after tomorrow and see if things are going to change somewhat, and we hear from the two countries if this agreement, this draft agreement, is going to go ahead as planned. But thank you so much for your time. That's Nixon Katembo, the African Affairs Analyst and Channel Africa Correspondent. This is just the beginning of this conversation because there's still quite a number of layers that, of course, need to be unpacked as far as the story is concerned.